swinging for the fences.
Matt here with Home Farm Ideas, and today I'm going to do a walkthrough of my entire system, and I'm going to try to take it slow. And we have some friends, I have some friends, Mike and then John, in Peru right now, and they're actually, there's a college there in Peru, and they're trying to basically, bring the gospel basically to the neighborhoods there in Peru. And so I'm doing this video for them, but I don't know everything, so whatever I miss or maybe suggestions that you guys might have, please post those in the comment section below. I definitely want to try and help them get their aquaponic system up and running, and so we'll do the video and we'll see how it goes. So they'll probably chime in on the comment section as well, so if you guys see them on there, please give them any information that you have to further their education in aquaponics. You guys all know that I'm learning as well, but what I've learned so far I'd like to share, so please share your wisdom as well. All right, so let's get to it. All right, so this is the fish tank area of my aquaponic system, and then that is a sump tank. Okay, so there's a pump inside my sump tank. Now, the reason why I have a sump tank is because all drains lead to this point, and there is a pump, one central pump, and the way I plumbed it basically is, one pump, one God, one country, and so that's how I plumb my system. I don't want a bunch of different pumps carrying water to different areas because it just increases the chance of complications. So I have the one pump that's down there, and then that leads up to this shutoff valve here that I can turn off the pump from the whole system and then actually work on it. Now, I don't have it glued on the bottom. I don't have glue here at this T. I don't have glue anywhere until it gets up to about that T. That T is the only one that I don't have glued because the water, if it does leak, it's going to leak back down into the sump. But everywhere else I pretty much have it glued. So the water comes up from here, it goes to that T, and then it splits off to grow beds, and then it also splits off to this T here and goes to other grow areas that I have, and then it goes to the fish tank up here and then in here. Okay, now in order for me to aerate the water better, I made this little venturi, and you guys can look it up online, but basically as the water comes out here and comes down and into the tank, it actually sucks water, and I can adjust it with this tap, but it actually sucks air, is what I meant to say, down and sucks it into the system and blows air. So you don't have to use more electricity this way because you're using the venturi, which is just the pump, pushing water through here, and it actually sucks air through here. You can look up online how to make a venturi, but basically I use that instead of an air pump. Now this is my fish tank, and I have goldfish, and there's discolored water here, and the reason why is because I add chelated iron, and chelated iron changes the color of the water. So it's not like it's filthy, dirty water, it's just, it has iron in it that's discoloring the water. Okay, so the water inlet is here. So all the water comes in through here, okay, and then it basically swirls the water around a little bit in here until it comes over to here. Okay, now this is basically, it's called an SLO, or a slow, but when you look it up, it's called an SLO. And basically, it just means solid lifting outlet, okay? And there's a black pipe. I don't know if you guys can see this very well because the water's kind of murky, but at the bottom there, what happens is that as this tank fills up and overflows, it overflows here, okay? So it comes down here, and then it goes to that pipe there, right? And then that pipe heads all the way to this barrel, and that I'm using as a swirl filter to gather solids, okay? But this actually, how it works is the pipe goes all the way to the bottom, and as this tank fills up, it overflows here via gravity, right? And instead of it pulling from here, it pulls from the bottom pipe, which all the fish poop That's important. You have to get the fish poop off the bottom. It pulls basically all the fish poop up this pipe, down this way, and then it goes into my swirl filter. So let's go over there. So that is the exit of the SLO. Comes down here, in through the barrel here, okay? Then it comes into here, and you see that pipe? That's another elbow, okay? And as you can see, the elbow is pointed slightly down. And the reason for that is because it basically, it's shooting water this way, right? And as it does that, it's pushing the solids down, most of the solids down to the bottom, okay? And this whole tank just swirls, okay? And as it swirls, it's pushing water down, like I just said. And at the bottom, I don't know if you guys can see that, but there's a pipe that you can gather the solids out with just a tap here. The only thing is this doesn't work very good, so I would not follow this design. Basically, I just get a piece of hose or whatever, and then I go down there like once a month, and I basically clear out all the major solids that are in there. So anyway, the water swirls, settles out all the big fish solids, and I'll tell you the reason why for that as well. But basically, then the water comes up, and then it goes to this central point, and it basically goes into my sump tank. So like I said, it goes down that pipe and into my sump tank, okay? And it doesn't just go into my sump tank, because if you look at the water, you could still see little particles floating in the water, okay? And you don't want any particles floating through your system, okay? So I have a sock here. You can buy it at any fish store pretty much, where it catches most of those bigger solids, and then I just take that off once a week and I rinse it out in my garden beds. And then I also have down in this bucket, I have different layers of filter material, okay? And then at the bottom, I have holes drilled out for the water to go through and come out a lot cleaner into my sump tank, which goes right back into the pump, okay? So that's basically the fish tank to get the solids out back into, so that's one revolution there, okay? So as this gets it out, what ends up happening is then I can pump water from my pump there, and it goes up to my this other outlet here. And the reason why it's important for me to remove all little solids is because over here I have this black tubing, okay, and it goes up into my Dutch buckets, okay. And now you can imagine those little solids that are in here floating around. If they get too many of them stuck inside this tubing, it's going to clog it, okay. And so I have ways of cleaning that out as well, but the main thing is that you want to remove the solids as best you can. So I have smaller outlets going to each one of these buckets, okay, there's 6 of them, and then I also have these zip grow towers, and we can head over there and look at those. So right now I have strawberries planted in these, and strawberries are coming in, so anyways, I planted these out, and you can see a video that I did already, I think it was like last week. Okay, so basically, the water also gets pumped. So the pump, remember, it's in the sump right there, right? It gets pumped to here, and it comes in through here. I have a shutoff valve, and then I have black tubing that goes all the way up the back of this thing, okay? And then at the top there, I have black tubing as well to bring water into these towers. This is not like soil in these things. This is just media. And by the way, this media filters out a lot of those solids as well. So I'm getting a lot of different filtration points doing it this way. So, and that gives the opportunity for bacteria to grow, okay? So the water comes down through these, and then it goes to this rain gutter. And when it goes to the rain gutter, it goes all the way back, okay, and into the sump. Okay, so another point where you're introducing water at the top of this, and then the water goes back into the sump, okay? So I'm growing strawberries on it, and then the Dutch buckets. So these are pretty simple, and I did a video on this as well. You just gotta go to my YouTube channel and type out, there's a search on the channel, and it's like, you know, got the search magnifying glass. Just type out Dutch buckets and you'll see how I built these. But basically, there's the water inlet, right, which is here, right? Brings the water inlet all the way down to all the different buckets. And then there's the water outlet. So in every single one of these, the water goes in, comes into the top of the bucket with the little hose, right? And then it drains to the bottom and comes out and goes into the drain, and the drain goes all the way to the sump, okay? So those are the Dutch buckets, and I'm going to be planting out pepper plants here pretty soon for these. I got all my pepper plants down there. So you can grow peppers on these. So the only thing with Dutch buckets is that you don't, root systems can get pretty big, and you guys need to experiment with this because you'll find out root systems can get really big and they can actually clog these drains. So you want to have stuff that is not going to have massive root systems, or you got to water it right. So, and what I mean by water it right is for these Dutch buckets, when you have water constantly running through these, at the bottom here, the roots are going to follow the nutrients, okay? And so if you have water constantly coming out of this, the roots are just going to tap down. They're going to go straight down, and they're going to look for the bulk of the nutrients. So to combat that, I have this little servo right there. It's like a sprinkler controller, and I have a timer set to it. And it comes on 15 minutes, turns off 15 minutes. Comes on 15 minutes, turns off 15 minutes. And what that does is it introduces water to this, but not so much that the roots are trying to tap down. They're more, when you do it like that, they're more going to spread out more. And that means they will not clog the drain down there. At least that's the idea. So, unfounded so far. I've been trying to experiment, but we'll see how that goes. So let's go over here and let's check out my grow beds as well. All right, so starting back at the sump tank, like I said, the water comes up here. It goes into all my other stuff, and then it goes into the grow towers there. But then that pipe comes over here, okay? And I have two different splits here. So I have one going into the ground, which provides those bigger grow beds with water right there. And then I have it coming here and teeing off here. And I don't have this connected to anything, but that's the water inlet. But I can always splice into that and add new grow beds over here if I want. Right, but anyway, it comes around, okay, and then it goes into, it comes over here into a little tap here, and then the water basically can overflow to this side, and then it goes into a drain that goes back to the sump here, okay. But I grow plants and I sell them online for fish tanks as well, so this actually brings a little bit of income for me. Okay, and then these are my grow beds themselves, okay, so that water inlet comes around here, goes all the way to the end, and then I have a little cap there, okay? So the water comes in on this side, and then it drains on that side, and that's called a bell siphon. Now, originally, let me go around to the other side. Originally, I had the water inlet on the same side as my bell siphon. Now, the reason why you don't want to do that, and the reason why I corrected what I did, was because you want water to run from one side, run all the way through the grow bed into the bell siphon, okay? And then from there, the bell siphon can flush, and as it flushes, it goes back into the sump tank. Now, the reason for that is you want all that nutrients to be even throughout the entire bed. Now, if you have it on this side, it's going to fill up and drain, and some of the nutrients will go to the other side of the grow bed, but it won't be as much as the way I have it set up now. So now all the nutrients comes through the grow bed, through all the gravel, and then into the bell siphon. Okay, and now we'll talk about the bell siphon. So the bell siphon basically fills up to a certain point, and I have videos on this as well. You need to look up bell siphon, okay? So just search my videos and you'll see I have a video on bell siphons. But basically, it fills up to a certain point with a standpipe in here, and I'll show you the standpipe. Okay, so that is the standpipe, the top of the standpipe, okay? that goes all the way down to the bottom of my bed here. And then when you add, as the water starts spilling over that, and you have a bell over it like this, it actually creates suction right here. And as it overflows into that pipe, it starts to create a siphon here, and it only can pull from the bottom, so it pulls all the water down. And this is basically works off gravity as well, so there's no moving parts, which is going to kind of blow your mind when it first does it, because it flushes automatically. Speaking of flushing, so this is my beet, jalapenos back there. I got onions and carrots all growing right now, and then I have some garlic that are growing. The reason why you want media beds like this, and we can talk about that now, is bacteria. Okay, you need bacteria to be growing in your system to convert the ammonia. So a bacteria will come in and it'll convert the ammonia into nitrites. Okay, and then another bacteria will come in and it'll convert the nitrites into nitrates. Okay, so nitrates is actually what plants can take up as a fertilizer, but they can only take up, and this is the more difficult part that you're going to have to learn about aquaponics, is you really need to understand bacteria and how it works, because it's basically the water chemistry. It only works a certain way. So you're growing bacteria that's converting everything finally to nitrates. Once you get the nitrates, you have to make sure that your pH is right, because plants naturally, or supernaturally, because God created them, in my opinion, basically they lock out nutrients when the pH is too high. Okay, so if you have like 7.8, you're going to start seeing some major deficiencies in your plants. They'll start turning yellow, they'll stop growing as good, they won't be growing as fast. All these different things are going to be happening. Okay, so you want to keep your pH for your bacteria, your fish, and your plants. You want to keep it at about 6.5 to 6.7. That's the sweet spot. How to get there is a whole other video series. So I basically keep mine at 6.5 to 6.7, and I usually have a pretty good time growing things. Okay, so those are my gravel beds, or my clay pebble beds. Okay, now over here we have basically the exact same thing. Like I told you, over there under that tarp, you remember that water that goes down under the ground? Well, it comes through to here, comes up this pipe, okay, splits off to a T, and then I have ways to adjust the water inlet here. Okay, there's no gravel in these, but I have these grow bags from Root Pouch. They sent me these, and I'm trying to grow garlic and stuff inside of these. But basically, it fills up here, right? And then it drains over there, and those are basically just big bell siphons as well. But I don't have a standpipe in them, so they're basically only getting the bottoms of these bags wet, and these bags actually are wicking water up. Okay, and then the water just spills over and into that hole, and goes through the drain under here. Okay, the drain all the way down to the other grow bed over there. It drains, and then it drains all the way here and back into the sump tank. So you got to think of the sump tank as like the heart, the water as the blood, and these are all the members. Okay, we have the left hand, the right hand, the right butt cheek, the left butt cheek. So, and basically the heart, the pump, takes all the blood, the nutrient-rich blood, where it needs to go in order to feed the plants. Okay, so so I think that's pretty much it. Yeah, let me think and see if I can come up with something else. All right, so one thing I think I forgot to mention was, see, each bed has a bell siphon, okay? And so they all fire individually. And when I say fire, I mean they all flush individually. And as they flush, they go into this pipe, this drain pipe. And I always leave a little bit of pipe when I do things, because I might add on to it. So I always leave a little bit of pipe everywhere. So anyways, they all fire and they all go down and back into the sump tank, okay? So the biggest hurdle I think you're gonna have, because the biggest hurdle I had, and I still have, is the keeping the pH at a right consistency of, like I said, at about, once you hit 6.2, you're gonna need to raise the pH, okay? Now raising the pH is a little easier than lowering the pH. I don't suggest that you lower the pH because over the long run, as bacteria is born and dies, they will naturally bring the pH down, and then your game at that point will be constantly raising the pH. And like I said, that's a lot easier game though, raising the pH. Lowering the pH, you can do it with RO water or reverse osmosis water just to bring it down, or you can use chemicals to bring it down. So, and I've used chemicals in the past and it works really well for me. But in the long run, I think I would basically set the system up and wait until that pH comes down. Fish naturally like a higher pH, but you're trying to find a balance for aquaponics. And once you find the balance, you grow plants like crazy. So let me show you my my Hanna Instruments basically sensor. And it basically constantly gives me readings of temperature, EC, TDS, and pH. All right, so this is my Hanna Instruments. This is a grow line monitor, and it basically just monitors the pH, the EC, or electrical conductivity, and the, what do you call it, the temperature. Okay, and so I can't really take you through this thing very good because I'm not good with it yet, but it basically monitors. You can set alarms on this thing to where it can monitor if it goes on too high a pH, which would be, like I said, 7.8-ish, and then you could set an alarm if it goes too low, which it'll let you know basically if it goes too high or too low. Okay, so that is one tool that I use. This is a bit pricey, but I think in the long run, if you really wanted to be serious and you want to grow stuff, it's really going to help you in the long run. Okay, know where you're at, know your numbers, you know, because most people are guessing because they're doing this as a hobby. But if you're going to be feeding the community, I think you need to invest in something like this. So let me show you some other tools that I use. Like the iron and the other stuff I put in my system. Now obviously one of the main things is fish feed. I don't know if they'll eat right now. I usually put a cap full in there. Yeah, they'll eat a little bit right now. So basically this is going to give you nutrients for the water. Now that there are some nutrients that you need in an aquaponic system that are actually in the fish feed. It's not just fish poop. Like I said, you need iron. You have to add iron. And so some of the things that I have for my system, let me move this ladder. Some of the things that I have that I add to my system, I should say, to bring the pH down, I use General Hydroponics pH down. Okay, that actually helps me bring my pH down when I want to bring it down for optimal growth. I've seen over time, like I said, it basically will drop by itself if you're doing things right. I add kelp meal powder, and you see how where it says 0017, the 17 is potassium. So the reason why I use kelp meal powder is because it's pH neutral, which means when you add this, the pH is not going to go up or down. It's just going to stay the same. Now, if you were using, let's say, stuff like pH down, obviously it's going to bring the pH down, and then pH up would bring the pH up. Now, as you add different chemicals to your system, so let's say you added potassium sulfate or potassium bicarbonate, to add potassium to your system, because the plants need potassium. It's going to make the pH go up or down or whatever. So when you can use more natural stuff like this, it just seems to be easier. So I use kelp meal powder, fish feed for nutrients, and then I add iron, chelated iron. Okay, and this is the stuff that I use right here. You can get it on eBay, and this bag will last me about a year, 1 pound of it. So those are the three main things that I add. I add the iron, I add the potassium, and then that's pretty much it. I'll add other things, but I'm not a rock star at it, so I don't really want to talk about the other stuff that I use, because that could actually, you could really mess up your system if you're adding the wrong stuff, and I've done that several million times. The way I test for iron, you want to have optimal levels of iron would be about 3.0, and so Hanna Instruments makes this iron checker. And I've done videos on this iron checker as well, so make sure that you type out in the search hourglass thingy on my channel, you search for iron checker. So, and I did videos on this as well. So anyway, I think that's pretty much it, you guys. This is my aquaponic system, like I said. This beet here, I mean, look at the size of that thing. Okay, it's the ugly beets are ugly. Okay, that's the way it's supposed to look, though. But I grew that on nothing but fish water. Okay, and I've grown onions and bell peppers and everything. And it tastes great. It doesn't taste like fish. People always say that about that kind of stuff, right? Oh, it doesn't taste like fish. No, it doesn't taste like fish. So anyways, if you guys have any other questions or any comments or suggestions, any of you guys out there that can help my friends in Peru, please give a comment down below. And sorry that the video is so long. I just needed to walk through the entire system and kind of show you guys what I'm doing and how I grow things. And I have other things out here, like these root pouches that I ran water to, but that's outside of my grow system, outside of the aquaponic system. So, and then I used to have chickens back over there. I don't anymore. So anyways, that's it. Matt, Home Farm Ideas. If you guys liked the video, please give it a thumbs up. And subscribe if you want to see more of my system. And make sure you hit that bell icon when you hit the subscribe button. That way you get notifications every time I upload a video. All right, so God bless you guys like always. And yep, peace.